How's it going, everybody? If you have any questions about politics, let me know in the chat. Ask me anything about politics. That is what we're doing today. So if you got any questions about politics, just let me know in the chat. I am here. I am available to answer all of your questions about politics. I know that politics can be really intimidating when you don't know anything about it. I know there was a time when I didn't know anything about politics and I was always really intimidated by it. So I like to make myself available for people to ask questions about politics, and there's no debating, there's no roasting. It is just good faith answers to all of your good faith questions. Alrighty. So yeah, you don't have to worry about anything. Patrick Scholl over on YouTube says, what about that SHOT Show last night? Yeah, I mean, it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. I tried to watch as little of it as I possibly could. He lied a whole bunch. He was extremely divisive. So yeah. Yeah, I'm in agreement. It was a shit show. Yeah, any questions at all about politics? There's no judgments. There's no debating. You don't got to worry about, oh, if I ask this question, he's going to think I'm some sort of MAGA lunatic. If you are further to the right than me, if you are further to the left than me, there will be no judgments either way. I am just here to answer all of your good faith questions about politics. So go ahead and ask away. There's no such thing as a dumb question. I don't believe in making people feel stupid. Phoenix Bone says, how do we fix the Israel problem? I mean, it has been a problem for decades, and I do not believe that I have the solution that nobody else does. But I think that we need to at least remove some of the influence that AIPAC has on our politics here in America. I think that it is way too easy for groups like AIPAC that have a lot of money to put a lot of that money into elections and sway them. You know, we had a bunch of progressive Democrats who lost their primaries because AIPAC backed the more conservative candidates, and then those candidates won their primaries. So I think that's probably a good start. I think the fact that we are continuing to send money and weapons to Israel, despite the fact that they're guilty of doing war crimes, I think is a problem. So maybe we should stop doing that. But yeah, we have had a bad relationship with Israel for a really long time, and I do not believe that continuing to acquiesce to everything that Netanyahu asks of us is the answer to that problem. Let's see here. Ed for Chu says, yeah, why wouldn't the Democrats stand for a child with cancer? I don't believe that that is an accurate retelling of what happened. Patrick Kelly says the divide in this country has become too much. Not standing for a child with cancer is simply sick. Yeah, again, that is not what happened, guys. So you can miss me with that shit. All right, any questions about politics? I am here to answer your questions about politics. All right, let's see here. Patrick Kelly says, did you watch? I watched a little bit of it. Rainy Kalako says, what's your opinion on financialization of economies? I don't know if that phrase means anything, financialization of economies. Let's see here. Drosy said, bro said that them not standing didn't happen, LMAO. Yeah, I guess they just did not care to encourage Donald Trump for exploiting a child with cancer for cheap political points. That seems like a pretty reasonable explanation to me. Let's see here. Yeah, weird how all of these people seem to have a real problem with the Democrats not standing for children with cancer, and meanwhile the Republican Party has cut funding for pediatric cancer research. I would much rather have a party that funds pediatric cancer research so we can try to cure these children that have cancer than some sort of phony bullshit political win of showing one child with cancer, putting him up in front of the TV screen and saying, look at how much I care about this one kid. If you really give a shit, then why doesn't it bother you that the Republicans cut funding for pediatric cancer research? Why doesn't that bother you? Why does it bother you more that the Democrats chose to not encourage the politicization of one child with cancer and are instead funding, or at least attempting to fund, medical research for children with cancer, which the Republican Party expressly cut out of the budget? So you can ask yourself that. Kevin Molina says because they were not using all the funding. That is completely inaccurate. Let's see here. Show us your source that shows that statement. I have the same Google as you do. Right, let's see here. Rainy Kalako says, what's your take on the sovereign wealth fund Trump wants to make? I think a sovereign wealth fund is not a bad idea intrinsically. I don't think it works if a country has as massive of a deficit as we do in spending. But similarly, everything that Trump does is a grift. And so I do not have any faith that he is running our sovereign wealth fund in any way other than to put money into his pocket and Elon Musk's pocket and the pocket of all his billionaire friends. Maka says, how much money did Joe Biden use when he was president? I don't know what you mean by Joe Biden using money. We appropriated the funds where they were supposed to go. Joe Biden wasn't taking money out of people's mouths and putting it into his pocket the way that Elon Musk and Donald Trump are. All right, let's see here. Nikki says, well, your opinion is wrong, and you're kind of not smart for saying that. Okay, well, that's not a question. So you are not good at following directions, because the live clearly says, ask me anything about politics, not just insult me. Comedy is a joke says, you are partisan. No, I'm not. Let's see here. Fiza says, Democrats ruin America. That is also inaccurate and also not a question, so we're just going to go ahead and block you. Let's see here. Druzy, no source found for the kids' cancer on Google. Can you send me the link? Hit me up, email me through my website, jaredbernstein.com, and I'll send you a link. Malaya says, what should the corporate tax rate be? Well, higher than it is now, Malaya. Let's see here. Trump has done more in the few months in office than Biden ever did. You mean like to ruin the country? Then yeah, I agree with you, Caleb King. Also, I don't have any faith that you are here for good reasons, so you're out of here. Let's see here. Big Sugar said, why did Biden shut down the gas pipe? Well, because we're trying to move away from fossil fuel as our primary energy creation devices. We're trying to go more into clean and renewable energies, which are better for the planet, better for the people who are working in those fields, is better for our lungs and better for our clean water and shit like that. Just better for the future of the planet in general. And it's cheaper. Also, it's a lot less expensive to have, green free electricity than it is to extract it from the ground. Let's see here. 21-inch gun says Democrats are for men in women's sports, open borders, Ukraine over USA. That is also not accurate at all. So we're just going to go ahead and get rid of you. Also, let's see here. Clueless liberal is giving Drozy the what do you call it? The sources. So you can go ahead and look at that. Sammy says, you're going to say how it's not accurate? How what's not accurate? Let's see here. Joshua Carlson says Biden was too old mentally to run for president anyway. Yeah, that's why he dropped out of the race. Let's see here. Patrick Schultz over on YouTube says, can we hold Donald Trump to his own words that the stock market drops more than 1,000 points in a day? The president should be impeached. Here's the thing, man. We can impeach Donald Trump if people just voted for more Democrats. That's just the long and short of it, because the Republican Party is either fully on board with what Trump is doing, or they're scared of Trump supporters doing violence against them, because Trump has completely, incentivized his followers to be violent against his political opponents. And when they are, he, pardons them and lets them out of jail. So, they are fully radicalized, and the Republican Party is either terrified of Trump's supporters or they like what he is doing. And so it doesn't matter how many rules he breaks, how many billions of dollars he steals from the American people. It doesn't matter how many regulations he loosens that increase childhood cancer and shit like that. The Republican Party is never going to stand up to Donald Trump. So if you want things to change, you got to vote for Democrats. Let's see here. Okay. Lee Bob says Biden done the same shit. No, he didn't. Ya Girl Savage says, will the prices of goods go back down? Definitely not while Trump is in office. That's for damn sure. Ricky says, what's more embarrassing, Trump mixing transgenic with transgender, or fact that people believed him? I actually don't know what you're referencing there. Brock Merriweather said, "What change would a Democrat do?" That is a big question, Brock. Like there are a lot of differences between the Republican platform and the Democratic platform. For starters, the Democrats do not believe in tax cuts for the billionaire class. Right now, there are people who have so much fucking money we can't even fathom it, and the Republican Party is working towards cutting their tax bill so that they pay even less in taxes and get to have even more money. They were trying to cut regulations for their businesses so that they can poison our air and poison our water and poison our food, and there's no oversight anymore. That is the Republican platform, whereas the Democratic platform is that rich people need to pay for their fair share. And if they do, then we can fund infrastructure projects. We can make sure that nobody has to live in poverty, that children don't die of starvation. There are a lot of benefits to the Democratic platform. Let's see here. Ricky said, he said that we are spending millions on transgender mice, but it was transgenic research on mice. Yeah, I mean, it's possible that he didn't do that on purpose. It's possible that he did do that on purpose. Like, he doesn't give a shit. They don't care. They are purposefully saying lies to their followers. They don't care. Lies that have already been proven false. They're eating the cats and dogs. We're paying Social Security to people who are 150, 200 years old. Like, all of those are proven lies. And he's still repeating them because he doesn't give a shit. Let's see here. Over on Twitch, we got how many inches? All right, listen, Mirage, that is not a question about politics, so I'm not going to go ahead and answer that. Sorry about that, Patrick. I wish that I was better at reading these names, but that is not my strong suit. Let's see here. They're not, LOL. You're taking a few things that may be false to justify others that are true. Listen, my man, the part of the mechanism of the Republican Party and Trump and political propaganda in general is that they flood the airways with so many lies that it takes a long time to sift through them and prove how wrong they are. To the point where it doesn't even, I can use the shorthand of he's lying because I've caught him in so many lies. I don't really give a shit if I call something that he says a lie and then I learn later that it was kind of half true. Because everything is basically a lie at its base. Because even if he's telling the truth about something one day, he will then lie about that exact same thing tomorrow. He says both things. He says the true thing, he says the false thing, he says the good thing, he says the bad thing. He's talking about, oh my God, what was the fucking thing he said during the joint address of Congress where he was like, he's like, RFK is going to figure out why all these kids have cancer. And at the same time, he is cutting regulations on companies, how much they can dump sewage into our water and dump chemicals into our food. And it's like, motherfucker, like, that's the reason why the kids have cancer. You think that RFK is really going to do any shit about that when you're getting so much fucking money from these companies to allow them to poison our air and our water and shit like that? Fucking miss me with it, man. Let's see here. All right. Justice for All says, and ending cancer research. That is completely accurate. All right, let's see here. Navy Terry says, so you hate all Democrats. I don't hate all Democrats. I like a lot of Democrats. Let's see here. Marka73 says, do you think it's okay to teach LGBTQ to students? I do. I do think that it is okay to teach LGBTQ to students. And I'll tell you why. Number one, you don't turn a kid LGBTQIA because you teach them about its existence. That is something that is just a part of who you are. I believe that everybody's kind of like somewhere on the sexual spectrum. Like almost nobody is 100% straight or 100% gay. And people get very confused, especially when they're young, if they don't understand the impulses that are coming from them where sexuality is concerned. So if you have somebody who is growing up gay or lesbian or bi or whatever, and they don't have any frame of reference for that, it becomes really difficult to figure out what kind of person you are. And, growing is so... I don't know. It's hazardous, it's precarious because there are so many things that can mess with our noodles when we're that age. It really helps for people to know that they're normal, that they're great just the way that they are, and that whatever kind of life that they choose to have, as far as what kind of person that they want to love and be involved with, like, that's okay. And that there are a lot of people out there as well. So there's no danger to it. It's not like, we're going to take a straight kid and turn them gay just by teaching them that gay people exist. That's basically, that's the long and short of it right there, my man. Blake says, what do you think about the Dems not signing the bill to stop men competing in women's sports? So yeah, I do not believe that that is. First of all, I don't think it should be a national priority. Like, there are bigger problems. Trump promised that he was going to bring down prices on day one. He said he was going to end the war in Ukraine on day one. He said he was going to bring peace to Gaza on day one. He hasn't done any of that fucking shit. But what they did do is they passed a bill to make it illegal so that somebody who's a trans woman can't participate in trans sports. Someone who, for all intents and purposes, is a woman physiologically, and now they can't participate in sports. They have to play on a team with people who look absolutely fucking nothing like them. You know, it's complete nonsense. Now, do I think that there are individual cases where, you know, somebody has an unfair advantage because they were born a man and then transitioned into a woman? Yeah, probably. But, you know, sports is not about being fair. We let Shaq play basketball and he's half Goliath. So, you know, point to me where it is okay that that happens. And similarly, there are women who have transitioned, there are men who have transitioned into women who are incredible at whatever sport they're playing, but still not better than the best woman who has ever played that sport. So to me, it's a non-issue. It affects so few people, it might as well not even exist. Let's see here. Couldn't answer that. ... Typical. I literally just did answer it. Malaya says Trump only got 5% of the black vote in 2016. Why did he get 20% in 2024? I don't think he did get 20% in 2024. He definitely increased his voter share, but that has nothing to do with like his record or any of his policies or anything. It has everything to do with misinformation, disinformation, and propaganda. The people who read the news, people who follow the news, vote for Democrats by a factor of something like 80 to 20. But we still lost the election. So that means that most people don't read the news, and the voters that we needed to get all got their news off of social media. Social media is a fucking Wild West, and it is extremely easy to manipulate those narratives if you have a lot of money and power and influence, which the Republican Party has because they're in league with some of the richest and most powerful pieces of shit on the planet. You know, billionaires like Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, and despots like Vladimir Putin, who is also one of the richest people who have ever existed. So yeah, people bought into the lies that they were being told on social media and right-wing propaganda, and you know, it's not necessarily their fault, but it is really easy for people to fall into these rabbit holes of propaganda if that is what everybody in their community is telling them, and everything that they're seeing online is perpetuating that narrative. So, you know, it happens to the best of us, but I think that that's the work of correcting our political culture these days, is making sure that people don't get their news from faulty sources like social media and don't believe bullshit right-wing propaganda. All right, so scrolling down to the bottom. Mjolnir Nova says, same goes for either side, big homie. That is completely not true. That is factually inaccurate. Propaganda and misinformation is a much bigger problem on the right than it is on the left. One of the foundations of the left's platform is accuracy and believing the science and things like that. Whereas on the right, they don't really give a shit about accuracy or, the reality of their narratives. The left is not working with authoritarian governments like Russia to flood social media with bullshit narratives to hurt the other side. That's just not what Democrats do. But the Republican Party was printing fake mailers saying that they were from the Harris campaign, and they had a bunch of like crazy shit on there, like Kamala Harris is for turning your kid trans, and Kamala Harris is going to make everybody buy an electric car and shit like that. That's cheating. That's lying. And the Democratic Party doesn't do things like that. They didn't print flyers that said this is approved by the Donald Trump campaign and then put a bunch of fucking bullshit on there. It's the Rocketeer said, good morning. Sat in on my bi-monthly city council meeting last night, and it was absolutely wild seeing the people in my community. Oh, I'm really glad that you're getting involved. This is the Rocketeer. That's great. Mad Cat Monkey over on YouTube. Was that a wild John Bander appearance? Yes, it was a wild John Bander appearance. Patrick Schultz. Do you think people like Crockett, AOC, and Frost will move us forward as a party? It's all good. I appreciate you doing these and the time you put into it. Not everyone is perfect. I love the progressive young wing of the Democratic Party. I think that is where I would love the party to go. Right now we have too many centrists and 80-year-olds in the party who are kind of calling the shots. And hopefully the party will hear that criticism. But again, there are plenty of centrists who do really well in purple districts, and though potentially a more progressive younger candidate would not do good in that general election, but the woman who did the response to Trump's speech, I think, is generally regarded as a pretty centrist politician who won in a Trump district or something like that, or in a Trump state. So yeah, it's a balancing act. And let me just say this also. I knew exactly what was going to fucking happen at the end of this speech, which was everybody was going to yell and scream about what the Democrats did to protest it, regardless of what they did. People were not going to like the signs. They were not going to like the walkouts. They were not going to like the people that didn't go. They were not going to like the people that sat there. They were not going to like the people that didn't applaud, that did applaud, blah, blah, blah. I've seen every single fucking narrative about what the Democrats did wrong in this moment that they have exactly zero political power. And it's just like, yeah, I can fucking set my watch to it. It's so fucking predictable that we're going to make up these fucking criticisms of the Democratic Party from every fucking angle, and we're going to fucking miss the authoritarian schnazi shit that is coming out of the right and the grift and the massive con that is happening with Elon Musk and Donald Trump right now. Let's see here. John Abbott said during the 2012 primaries, one of Rick Santorum's spokespersons told a report, "What's important isn't what's true, but what feels true." Yeah, and fucking what is his name? Not Newt Gingrich, but Dick Cheney said the exact same thing. He was like, "It might not be true, but it feels true," And yeah, they don't give a shit. They do not give a shit about what's accurate. Let's see here. Rena, thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Dearly says, Democrats were on display. Nobody had to make it up. Yeah, I don't know what you mean by that, Dearly. Like, some people were holding up signs. Some people protested. Some people didn't go at all. Like, again, people are mad at them for no matter what they do, Let's see here. Dwin Getch says, your ability to adapt to new situations is remarkable. Thanks, Dwin. I don't know what you're referring to, but I appreciate that. That feels like a compliment. Kelly McJelly says, when will they wake up that they've been lied to? I don't know. I don't know if people will ever. After the massive, unprecedented fuck-up of the Trump administration during the COVID pandemic, I thought no human being would ever vote for these idiots again. But they fucking did. And Biden only won that election by 40,000 votes in 3 states. And we had a 0-seat majority in the Senate. And it was Kamala Harris who had to pass the deciding vote on a lot of bills and on reconciliation and the IRA and shit like that. So yeah, propaganda and misinformation is a hell of a drug. And we cannot count on people to remove themselves from that equation just by themselves. We have to do the work of getting people out of those media spheres and correcting those narratives, because otherwise it's going to be the same old shit again, where Republicans ruin everything, they get voted out, Democrats come in, they start cleaning up the mess, people get upset that the mess isn't being cleaned up fast enough, and they vote Republicans back in who fucking ruin everything again. Let's see here. User a whole bunch of numbers. Said Fishing Guy 15 says, yeah, she did a bang-up job. Are you talking about Harris? Because she did do a great job. I don't know what you're fucking talking about. If socialism is doomed to fail, why does the U.S. have to overthrow every democratic socialist? I don't know what you're talking about there exactly. The U.S. has to overthrow every democratic socialist. Like, we've never had a democratic socialist president. I can't think of a single one who has been overthrown, Let's see here. You are a great listener. Thank you, NG3. I appreciate that. Again, sounds like a compliment, but I don't know what you're referring to. Nathaniel says, Americans elected Trump because they are dumb racists. Yeah, good luck with that sales pitch. I didn't say that. So, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Thank you for putting words in my mouth, my man. Me-Man says, guys, less than half of Americans voted for Trump. Please look at the voter spread. Yeah, it was only 23% of Americans that voted. There were 85 million people who did not vote in 2024 who could have voted in 2024. So my advice, let's go find those people and convince them to vote. I believe this in my heart, even though not 85 million of those people are going to decide to vote for Democrats over Republicans. I believe that if we got all those people to vote, that we would have a transformational shift of our leadership in this country. To the left, in my opinion. Let's see here. MAGA says Biden won based off the people that are over 130 years old collecting Social Security. I hope that's a joke, MAGA Stricep, because that is really inaccurate what you just said. Let's see here. This guy just says Democrats hate America. No, we don't. We're the only ones trying to save America. Y'all are trying to turn it into Russia. Bruh728 says it's easier to fool someone than to convince people that they've been fooled. That is completely accurate. Skater says, did you hear about Trump wanting to annex Greenland and the Panama Canal? I have heard about that. He won't shut the fuck up about it. It's dumb. He's dumb. People that are saying like, oh my God, we just need to focus on our issues here at home instead of, sending all of our money over to Israel and Ukraine have no problem with starting a completely fucking unnecessary war to get Greenland and the Panama Canal, in addition to completely unnecessary trade wars with Mexico and Canada and the entire European Union. Like, at the same time as we're bringing Russia back into the global economy. Like, what the fuck, man? Do words not mean anything anymore? Let's see here. Okay, at 115, you need to prove you're alive to keep getting Social Security. That is completely accurate. Democrats couldn't even stand for a kid with cancer. Well, no, they just didn't believe in supporting President Trump using that kid as a political cudgel. You know, the Democratic Party put money for pediatric cancer research into the budget. Republicans took it out. Republicans removed money for pediatric cancer research from the budget. I'm going to say that as many times as I possibly can so that it gets fucking tattooed into people's noodles. Republicans, there was a budget that had money for pediatric cancer research in it, and Republicans took that away. So all these great new medications and therapies that we could potentially use to cure children who have cancer, Republicans took that away. As if to say, yeah, good luck with that, kids. Good luck. But we'll hold you up at the State of the Union so that we can get a bunch of phony-ass applause. Let's see here. I'm Tired says, LOL, there's no justifying it, dude. Yeah, there is no justifying the Republicans taking money out of the budget for pediatric cancer research. Like, why would they do that? Why would they do that? When we need that money for pediatric cancer research. So long as there are still kids with cancer, we need money for pediatric cancer research. And Republicans took that out of the budget. Why did they do that? Do they hate children? Is that why? Do they not care if children die of cancer? Is that why? Let's see here. Benedict, your patience is truly commendable. I appreciate that. Oopie Goopy says, this is false. 2019, Trump increased pediatric cancer research funding $500 million over 10 years. I do not know if that is accurate, Oopie Goopy, but I'm not even talking about 2019. I'm talking about 2024. This literally just happened, 2024. So you can Google me on that shit, man. Let's see here. Founder 2023 says, it was never about eggs or gas. It was about hate and about what we can do to stick it to B and B people. Founder, I know that there are people out there who that is their motivation in voting for Republicans and Trump specifically, but propaganda is a powerful drug. Misinformation is a powerful drug. And there are plenty of good people who just got tricked, who just got conned, and there are people on the left who got tricked and conned into not voting in 2024. So, Republicans do not have a monopoly on getting tricked. So I encourage the kind of radical empathy that says, maybe there are some shitty people that voted for Trump, but there are also some good people as well. All right, let's see here. All right. TREZG says, didn't the trade war secure auto manufacturing and investments from Japan and South Korea? I do not know. There are things that companies have said that they're going to do in retaliation for, not in retaliation, but because of these tariffs in order to try to save money. But we don't know if they're actually going to do it. That's number one. Number two, we don't know if it's going to be financially beneficial for Americans in the long run, for them to have those jobs 10 years in the future when the plant actually finishes getting built. In the meantime, everybody is struggling through a cost of living crisis. We don't know if these factories are going to be built. We don't know what America is going to look like when those factories are built. And we don't know what those jobs are going to be like, if they're going to be so well paying and they're going to employ so many people that it's going to cover how much more expensive everything in America is going to be. It's just dumb. Will there be some potentially good knock-on effects? Maybe. I don't know. But the way that it stands right now, it's just hurting people and it's just costing us money. All right, let's see here. Ariana says, thoughts on Trump saying they've gotten rid of unelected bureaucrats, then camera cuts to Elon. I sure hope that camera guy did it on purpose, because that's the whole fucking point. Again, the entire speech was bullshit. The entire speech, it was full of lies. It was full of accusations that were confessions. Every Republican accusation is a confession. He was saying shit like, I've learned that there's nothing I can do that will make these Democrats happy. And it's like, well, you've only done bad things. So maybe try good things and we'll see if Democrats will applaud you. Similarly, I will say that Democrats have given Trump and Republicans a fucking, light years of runway and fucking light years of the benefit of the doubt. And it is only after decades of Republicans turning around and saying, haha, fuck you, just kidding, and then spitting in our face, that we are finally being like, you know what? No, fuck you guys back. And then they go, oh my God, I can't believe you said fuck me back. Oh my God. Yeah, Republican politicians are 100% full of shit, everybody. I don't know what else has to happen before you guys realize that. Let's see here. Blair Cohen, I completely agree with that. Let's see here. Big Weight says, how much does an Iron Dome cost? That I don't know how much an Iron Dome costs. Fishing Guy 15 says, where did you get your economy degree from? I believe the word you're looking for is economics. Super Self says, there are some MAGAs we can bring over, but most have entirely different beliefs from us. That is true, Super Self, but there's 85 million people in this country who did not vote in the last election who could have. Let's go get them. It's easier to get them than to convince somebody who's MAGA to vote for Democrats. It is easier to get somebody who's an independent who voted for Republicans because they were convinced that it would bring down the costs of groceries and shit like that. It is easier to find them and go, hey, check it out, the grocery prices haven't come down. And them go, you know what, fucking you're right, I'm going to vote for Democrats. Trez G says, doesn't have to be negative all around, all I'm saying. I'm not really sure what your point is there. Kelly McKelly says, don't any of the Republicans have family members that need Social Security and Medicaid, Medicare? So this is the thing that happens in fascist governments, where so long as you're on the in-group, it doesn't matter what the law is or what, you know, government resources are available, because you can always get like a write-off for you. You know, that is the whole fucking point of a fascist government, is just say that you love Trump and I promise we'll take care of you. So they could have a law that says everybody that is named Aaron has to go to jail, but then Aaron Bishop, who is a Republican senator, will be like, what about me? They'll be like, don't worry, Aaron, we got you. We'll write out a carve out for you. That's the whole deal with these fucking tariffs also, is that when there's a tariff, a company can petition Donald Trump to write an exemption for them. So it is basically them paying to be the only game in town, the only company that doesn't have to pay these massive tariffs, you know, for bringing goods in from Canada or Mexico or fucking whatever. And the reason why they would get that exemption is because they gave a little money to Trump. They did a little bribe, they did a little con, they did a little grift. Daddy Trump likes that, so he's gonna write you a fucking waiver for that shit, you know? Let's see here. Hello, I'm Ukrainian. Why MAGA repeating lying Russian propaganda? Because Russia it has their hands fully enmeshed in our social media and in our news media. And so they have been able to convince people of things that are untrue. And it's a fucking bummer. And I've been yelling about this shit for a really long time. And no one's listened to me, I guess. So maybe, you know, support my channel, try to get some more eyeballs on it. And then maybe fewer people will fall for this bullshit. Firefighter says, you talk like Trump is so evil, yet don't say a word about the corrupt left. Well, Firefighter, it's a little bit like if I break my leg and also get a paper cut, what am I going to tell the doctor at the hospital? The issues with the Republican Party and Trump are so massive and so enormous that the issues with the Democratic Party seem small in comparison. It's like I'm a store owner and there's a dude stabbing me in the neck, and instead I'm deciding to yell at the kids who are reading the magazines for free. You know, I think that we need to prioritize what are the biggest problems in this country. And the biggest problem is Trump and the Republican Party and Elon Musk, who are fucking taking apart the country and selling it for fucking parts. So, and you know, we're being denigrated on the world stage. Nobody fucking takes us seriously anymore. Nobody can trust us anymore to, you know, uphold our agreements that we have made in the past. How are we going to make agreements going forward when they're like, well, you could just, you know, fucking reverse course on a whim the way that you have since Trump got elected. Let's see here. G says, was Biden compromised? Not as far as I know. Let's see here. The Democratic Party is at its lowest point in years. Jarrett, what do you think of that? I think that propaganda is a hell of a drug. You know, the Democratic Party believed in deliverism during the Biden administration, meaning let's do a lot of really good things for the American people, and then that will win us the election. Like, we don't have to worry about messaging it. If people just feel their lives getting better, then it will deliver us votes. And so what did the Democratic Party do during the Biden administration? The first bipartisan infrastructure bill in over a decade, the Inflation Reduction Act, which brought inflation from 9% back down to 2.4%. It was also creating a lot of good, clean, well-paying green energy jobs in, rural communities that were becoming ghost towns because, the auto industry decided to bail on them. And, we were revitalizing small towns. Inflation down, crime down, unemployment down, stock market up. The CHIPS Act was bringing manufacturing back to America. The PACT Act was increasing healthcare benefits for veterans. Capping the cost of insulin, capping the cost of asthma inhalers, bringing down medical insurance costs, supporting the unions, walking the picket line. There are a million things that the Democratic Party did for the American people, but the issue is propaganda, misinformation, and disinformation. The people that follow the news, the people that knew the shit was going on, they voted for Democrats by a factor of 80 to 20. It was the other voters that we needed that were all getting the news off social media. And social media was feeding them bullshit narratives that were either lying to them about how much better Trump would be than Kamala Harris, or they were lying to them about how both parties are the same, voting doesn't matter, nothing ever changes, that everybody's exactly as corrupt as everybody else, both parties are, equally shitty. If you vote, you are complicit in a corrupt two-party system. If you don't vote, you are sending a message to the parties to be better. And they believed those narratives. Similarly, no matter what Democrats do, they get fucking yelled at. And so everybody believes that everybody hates the Democratic Party because no matter what they do, they're getting yelled at. They're too far to the left. They're too far to the right. They don't do enough. They do too much. It's fucking nonsense, and people have bought it. And, it's really easy to fall into these narratives. Like if you are a left-leaning person who does, content creation on social media, everything good that you say about the Democratic Party has to be couched in, but they're flawed, and I understand that they're flawed, and they're not perfect, but they're definitely better. Whereas if you are a right-wing influencer, you are allowed to say, oh my God, Trump is amazing, no flaws, no notes, everything is perfect, the Republican Party is the greatest party, they're fixing America, everything's incredible, blah, blah, blah. So the Republican Party gets their fucking tongue baths, every third place that they go. The Democratic Party is getting it from every fucking side, though. Propaganda is a powerful drug. Misinformation is a hell of a drug. People have bought that the Democratic Party is bad for some reason. But you know what that reason is? They're a big tent. And it is hard to make everybody happy in a big tent. That's it. It's difficult. We got the, the African-American part of the party. We got the LGBTQ part of the party. We got the white people part of the party. We got the Latino part of the party. And everybody has different things that they want accomplished. And, there's also the additional influence of money in politics. And Democratic people have, we've got our corrupt senator, I always forget the dude's name, like Senator Rodriguez or something like that. I can never remember the dude's name. Yeah, that dude was corrupt as shit, Joe Manchin, fucking corrupt as shit. Fucking Kristen Sinema, corrupt as shit. But we try to get rid of those people and get in better ones. But then people just vote for Republicans instead, which is like, your pant is on fire, and then you vote for running into a burning building instead. All right, scrolling down to the bottom. Let's see here. It's the Rocketeer says, Menendez. That was Senator Menendez. Thank you, Wild Bander. It's the Rocketeer over on Twitch. Deliverism is my new favorite term. I keep bringing it up at my local WFP meeting so people know who we are. That's pretty cool. Ugh, excuse me. Marie says, so did we give Ukraine actual money or just the old military equipment? We gave them both. I do dis for clout says, so don't take the opinions of common folk, but believe the mainstream media. Got your point, Jarrett. I don't know what exactly you're trying to say here. I do dis for clout. I didn't say any of those things. You're putting words in my mouth. Nothing you just said there made sense. And you said it in that way that's like, got it. Like I fucking owned this lib over here. Bolonyevich says, poorly educated, but I'm finding out most Democrats didn't know there's already existing tariffs. So you're saying that you're a poorly educated person, but you're finding out that most Democrats didn't know there's already existing tariffs. I do not believe that at all, Bolonyevich. I do not buy it. I don't believe that you are out here just a good independent scrolling through the data and being like, hold on a second, I'm discovering that left-wing voters are so stupid that they didn't realize that we already had tariffs before Trump. Wow. Wait until the internet finds out about my research that I've just finished. Good Lord. Fucking miss me with that nonsense. Demi XX says, "Glory to Ukraine. What do you think about Ukrainian future in war with Trump's policy? I worry about them. I really do. You know, I'm really glad that the EU is stepping up and Canada is stepping up to try to fill that void. But the fact of the matter is, you know, our assistance meant a lot, and I worry that without America, even with the EU and Canada stepping up, it's still not going to be enough. And yeah, I don't know. Right now, it's a standstill. Right now, it's a stalemate that could easily turn into a slow bleed for Ukraine, and I really worry about that. Tornado says, when is System of a Down? That is not a question about politics. I do Dis for Clout says, I'm just saying the Dems have a superiority complex and live in a twilight zone. That's not accurate at all. I do Dis for Clout. And also, you're not just saying, all I'm saying is, and then proceeds to say like a really mean, shitty thing that is intended to denigrate only one half of the political spectrum. Sure, buddy. Sure. Wow. Oh my god. Tony says, we are becoming the most irrelevant superpower. Yeah, and whose fucking fault is that? Let's see here. G says, Nancy is better at picking stocks than Warren Buffett. Wow, you know, this live is sometimes just me batting away all these bullshit propaganda narratives. So people go after Nancy Pelosi for doing insider trading because she went out there and did a very stupid thing and said, I don't think that insider trading done by elected representatives is a bad thing. But do you think that Nancy Pelosi is the only one who does that? There are way more Republicans who do that than Democrats, number one. And number two, Democrats have put forward a bill to stop that. And it has a lot of Democratic co-sponsors. But you know who hasn't signed on to that bill? Is any fucking Republican. Zero fucking Republicans are trying to stop insider trading by government officials. So you can miss me with your fucking Nancy Pelosi bashing when it was literally just about who is trying to solve this problem. The Democratic Party. Who is trying to solve it? The Democratic Party. Who doesn't want to solve it? Because they're doing exactly as much or more insider trading as Nancy Pelosi is, the Republican Party. So you can miss me with that shit. Let's see here. Brendan says she throws millions on stocks through which is much unlike other members of Congress. That is inaccurate. Hardly Anytime says, what's the bill's number? I do not remember what the bill's number is, but I think it's called like the FAIR Act or something. I can't remember the name of it. It's something like that. It's like the FAIR Act or it's a synonym for the word fair. Something like that. D-Rock635 says, how is it possible some 25 countries can't afford to support the war? Why do they need USA? So I think that the issue, D-Rock, and I could be wrong about this, I'm kind of shooting from the hip on this one, is that we have the ability to manufacture certain types of weapons that we can then give to Ukraine. And that's what we mean by like the money. Like we're not just giving them cash. And so if there are other countries that are trying to step up and provide that same kind of assistance, they just don't have the manufacturing capability to do the kind of mass ammunitions and tanks and planes and shit like that that America can. And so without us, the Ukrainian army is going to be less able to, what do you call it? They're not going to have as many weapons and bullets, which is going to be, difficult for them to win a war without that stuff. Let's see here. This person says, no, we're giving them cash as well. I never said that we were only giving them weapons. I said that we were giving them both. Let's see here. Lakin House says, what is a good excuse for Dems' behavior at the Trump speech last night? I don't understand what you mean by what is a good excuse. Like, they did what they were supposed to do. They did not support the president making shit up and being divisive and accusing people of doing the things of which he is guilty, of trying to cover up all of his grifting and conning, lying to the fucking American people to their faces about what the truth is about his record, his history, and what is going on in our country right fucking now. So I don't know what you thought the Democrats should have done differently, but again, that is not the biggest problem, I think. The biggest problem is the fact that the Republican Party is systematically dismantling this country and selling off the parts to the highest bidder while people are fucking starving on the street and children are dying of cancer. They are cutting pediatric cancer research from the fucking budget. Let's see here. BB Fan, good to see you again. How can we put the felon... let's see here. Lakin House says... You're complaining about them not standing up for the guest cancer boy. I think that they called that accurately, and that Trump was using a child with cancer as a political pawn, and they did not agree with him doing that. So they decided not to stand for that gross display of him patronizing the country in that way. Let's see here. Banter says, you had 8 years. Why are people starving in the streets? I don't know what you're talking about, 8 years. Biden had 4 years, and he only had 2 years with full control of Congress. He did two things. He did a lot in those 2 years, but then Republicans took over the House and wouldn't pass anything that the Democratic Senate or Biden wanted to actually get done. They became the obstructionist party. So, yeah, the fact that Biden wasn't able to completely fix the mess that Trump created in just 2 years, and also the fact that he had Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin in his party that was also trying to stop things that the Democratic Party was doing, yeah, I think he did an incredible job, considering the roadblocks that were put in front of him. But also, 8 years, what in the world are you talking about? Let's see here. Jay Crypto says, Trump 5x leverage long position on Bitcoin, and ETH investing $4 million to control 200 million secure. I don't know any of that. That's not a question. Let's see here. Josh Turner says, yeah, because the left doesn't patronize America, huh? Yeah, there's no Democrat that has held up a boy with cancer and said, I'm going to make this guy an FBI agent, and that's going to make up for the fact that I cut funding for the research for his medication. So, yeah, Josh Turner, you can miss me with that shit. Dylan said, but had he not done it, the Dems would have something negative to say about it. You think that if he hadn't held up a kid with cancer and said, applaud me because I'm going to let this kid die because I cut pediatric cancer research, that the Democrats are going to yell at him for that? Yeah, that's not a thing that happens. What you're describing is the way that the Republican Party deals with Democrats, where Democrats can do like the most incredible thing in the world, and the Republican Party say it's the worst thing in the entire world. And they'll make up lies about it. The Affordable Care Act was making it so that insurance companies couldn't discriminate against people for having pre-existing conditions, and the Republican Party came up with a lie that said the Affordable Care Act had a piece in there about death panels, about this. There's going to be a panel of politicians who are going to decide whether or not your grandpa gets to live or not. So yeah, you can miss me with that shit also. Kyle says, you mean like the left does on gun control after a school shooting? What, you mean accurately saying that the Republican Party isn't doing shit to try to stop this problem? Yeah, no, we're not like holding up the bodies of dead children from school shootings and being like, look at this baby would be alive today if it wasn't for Republicans. No, we're just accurately saying, let's do something about this. And the Republican Party says, no, let's not do something about this. You know, I don't think that is an inaccurate thing to say. Let's see here. Don Gordoza Cabeza says, it was really gross how he graphically described the unaliving of Laken Riley in front of her mom and sister. Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I really thought that Laken Riley's family had said, we don't want you to do that anymore. So I'm really curious as to why that whole fucking thing just happened. Let's see here. This guy just called me a pedo, so that means you are out of here. Goodbye. All right. Olivie1234556 says, is checks and balances systems failing? The attack is too aggressive and it cannot handle it. So the problem is that the people who are supposed to be doing the checks and balances, they are either fully on board with what Trump is doing, all the illegal shit that he's doing, or they are scared of him. They are scared of him funding a primary challenge against them, or they're scared of violence from his base because he has told his base that he likes it when they do violence against his political opponents. And when they do that violence, he bails them out of jail and he pardons them. So, you know, the checks and balances are still there. But the problem is we need to put the people in those positions who will actually be a check and a balance. And so it is scary. It is a very scary time that we're living in where the Republican Party is allowing all of this shit to happen. And I hope that people become mobilized in a way that we fucking run the table in the midterms. And we got special elections coming up on April 1st, 2 in Florida, 1 in New York. And I hope that if you are watching this and you live in those places, that you will go and you will vote in those elections, that you will vote for Democrats. Because again, the Republican parties are fucking asleep at the wheel. They do not give a fuck about all the people that are getting hurt, the thousands of veterans that are being mass fired by the Trump administration by getting rid of all these government positions that now these departments are not going to be able to run well or efficiently anymore. They're saying that Social Security checks might not go out because they just don't have the staff to be able to send that money out anymore. That is a massive fucking failure. That is a massive fuck up. Elon Musk is taking apart USAID, which was stopping Ebola from coming into this country. That is an unbelievable fuck up. That is unreal. The fact that they let that happen. If the Republican Party is like, I think he might be overstepping his bounds a little bit, the most fucking milquetoast criticism of Elon Musk stealing your fucking money. Donald Trump is trying to log our national parks. Those trees, those beautiful trees in those national parks, they belong to you. They belong to you and to me. Those are our trees. And he wants to sell them so that he can put that money into his pocket. It's unfucking believable. The fucking grift, man. The $5 million gold card for rich fucking Russian oligarchs to become American citizens so they can come over here and fucking vote for Trump. Unfucking believable, man. It is unreal. Yeah, I hope and I pray that people are activated by this because it is shocking, it is terrifying, it is unconscionable what they are doing. And I hope that this message is getting out to people. And here's the thing, this is my message, guys, is that we can't count on my lives to do this. I got 175 people watching this. Who knows how many of those are actual people. And we have to tell people in real life what is going on. And we have to tell them that they have to vote. And vote for better politicians. Vote for Democrats. Alrighty, let's see here. Amanda G says, can we talk about the tax-free tips, Social Security, overtime? Lie, it's not even in the official tax plan. That is accurate, Amanda G. It is not. Oof, it is a lie that is in the bill already. Now, will it be in the bill in the future? I can't say. They don't have a finalized bill. They only have the one coming out of the House. But yeah. The fact that people are already saying that it's in the bill and that Democrats voted against it and why are Democrats so shitty to the working class because they voted against no tax on tips and overtime and Social Security? It wasn't in the bill. So, again, that's another thing we got to spread. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up because I got another show tonight. I'm on tour for another week, so you got to try to catch me when you catch me. Go to my website, jarrettbernstein.com, if you want to check out my stand-up dates, if you want to send me a message. If you want to, if you want to send me a gift, you can join my Patreon at jarrettbernstein.com. You can find a link to it. You can also buy things off my store. I believe 0 people have bought things off of my store, but that's fine. I have 2 patrons on my Patreon, which I'm very hype about. They are the best. You can send gifts on Twitch and on TikTok, and you can also just tell people how great my lives are and that they should check me out. And if you know somebody who's an independent or on the fence or doesn't believe in voting, send them my way, please. Because this is my fucking mission, guys. I'm just trying to get these 85 million people who did not vote to vote, and I'm trying to get these independents to recognize how shitty the Republican Party is. One of my, big hobby horses is, the American people do not realize how terrible the Republican Party is, and they think the Democratic Party is worse than it is. The Democratic Party never gets any credit for the good things they do. The Republican Party never gets any blame for the bad things that they do. And I'm trying to reverse that course. Help me reverse that course, guys. Let's all do the work together. All right. I will see you guys later. Everybody have a great Wednesday. Take care. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the comments and the questions. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Goodbye, 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 goodbye. Goodbye.